So now I'm going to take a look at creating some workspaces. And workspaces are the arrangement of panels and tools. So the first thing we're going to look at is the workspace chooser, and you'll find the workspace chooser near to the search menu. So you can see it up here on the Mac, you can see it up here. On the Windows it'll be further up towards the help menu. We can also go up to the window menu and choose workspace as well, and then you'll see that we're given many different workspaces we can choose from. Some of them try to mimic other programs like Photoshop, while other ones are more suitable for things like typography if you're working with text, or web if you're working with web graphics. So let's first of all make sure that we're on Essentials if you're using this drop down menu, or by coming up to Window, Workspace and Essentials. Next thing we can do is go over to the panels, and you'll see at the top of the panels I can click on this little arrow to expand or close. So just these two little arrows here to expand or close. I like to work with them expanded so I can see all the options for the different panels. If you ever do need to bring up other panels, you can always come up to the window menu, and here you'll see the majority of panels that you need. Okay, you can see here you've got some type panels. So for example, I might want to come to type and choose character because I might be working with lots of text. Then what we can do to set up a workspace is to dock the panels. So for example, I might want to dock this panel underneath the stroke panel. So just by simply placing it underneath, I can see I've got this little blue bar, and when I release, it places those set of panels underneath the stroke panel. So it's basically docked them into the workspace. We can also pull off individual panels. For example, I might want to drag off my gradient panel. I can drag it back into the document area, and this undocks it. And then maybe I want to drag it back over and dock it next to the colour panel. So this time I want to include it into the group. So I make sure there's a blue line going all the way around the panels, and then when I release, it becomes docked and it becomes part of the tab group. We can also in Illustrator come over to the tools on the left, and there's a little arrow again so we can expand or contract. It works slightly differently here. You can just see it increases or decreases the size of the toolbar. And other things we can include as part of a workspace is some of the tools. For example, if I click on this rectangle tool and come over and click on this little kind of panel here, this will tear off the panels so they'll always remain as a floating panel, which will give me quick access to the tools. So now that I've spent a bit of time arranging my panels and basically my workspace, I want to save it. So again, there's a couple of ways we can save it. We can come back up to Essentials and choose Save Workspace, or I can come up to the Window menu, down to Workspace and choose Save Workspace. Either method will work. So now I'm going to type in the name of my workspace. I'll just simply call it My Tools, and then click OK. You'll then see that the workspace name is shown up here, and of course we can always go back to another workspace and then return back to My Tools workspace, and it brings up all the settings that we applied before. If I ever get into a right mess, for example if I drag some of these extra panels out and then I decide I want to go back to my workspace, I can come back up to the workspace chooser, re-choose my workspace, and it puts everything back. And finally we're going to look at possibly deleting the workspace. So again, I can come up to the workspace chooser, down to manage workspaces, I can click on my workspace, and then I can also delete the workspace by clicking on this little bin. And then click OK, and then you see the workspace disappears. So that's how to create workspaces.